Hey guys, my name is Mark from Jazz Guitar Lessons, and welcome back to this episode where I want to share a simple triads blueprint for the guitar, something completely implemented that you can do in less than a minute actually, so we'll do this together. Before we get started, just grab the guitar to be sure, and I'll just get into a definition of what a triad is. A triad is a three-note chord. For instance, if I'm playing a C, like an open C, this is a triad. A triad does not have a number, and if you have a triad without a name, so just C, it means C major. And if there's a triad with a little M or minor, it says C minor. So in the case here, we have C major is a triad, A minor is a triad, right? And the definition of triad is three sounds. So in the case of the C chord, it would be C, E, and G, which are the three different sounds. It doesn't really matter how many of each notes we have. So in this case, we have a C and we have another C here, and we have an E and we have another E and G. So long as we have only three notes present in the entire chord, is that mattering. Now, some jazz players, especially if you're more like technically inclined like I am, you will want to look at triads and go, right, I have to do all strings and all different fingerings, and I have to do all in all positions and all inversions on the guitar and whatever, which I'll say, well, yes, it might be important, but I have this one shortcut approach, 1, 2, and move, that I picked up from Randy Vincent. Thank you, Randy, great guitarist and teacher. And the approach is the following, which I want to share in this video. We will do 2 inversions per string set before we move to the next string set. So going to the guitar, for instance, I do C, E, G on the bottom string, C, E, G. So there's several ways to go to the next inversion of this, which would be, okay, I want to do, instead of C, E, G, now I want to do E, B, C, E, G, C, E, G, C, my bad. So, and then the next one. And the question is, do I remain on the same string set like this laterally, or do I move to the next string set up going towards the floor or the ceiling? And the Randy Vincent approach basically states that I will do 2 of those per string set before I move on to the next string set. And the beauty of this is that I don't even need to remember the fingerings. It's like magical. It's intense. So check this out. I will start with the lowest available C major triad on the fretboard. I'll go like this, G, C, E. For you guys that are into theory, you'll know that this is the second inversion. So we have the G as the lowest note, right? And from the G, I will then go, I want to invert this, so instead of G, C, E, I'll go C, E, G. So I go 1 and 2, and I'm done. What does it mean I'm done? It's like now that bottom C note, I'm going to take it up the voicing and go here. So I've done 1 and 2 and done. And then 1 and 2 and done. And then that G note goes on top, 1 and 2 and done. And then 1 and 2 and done. Which means that I was able to journey the entire fretboard without having to explore all of the possibilities, all of the fingering, all of the string set. I just have this shortcut method. Of course, it's not the holy grail, the cure-all and all, but it's a really great approach to do this. And now let me just demonstrate a bit quicker to see how we can do the C major triad up and down on the entire fretboard. Ready? G, C, E, C, E, G, next string set, E, G, C, G, C, E, next string set, C, E, G, E, G, C, next string set. And I'm going to go down faster, so now there are other fingerings for the record. This is not the only way to finger those. Now, an important aspect of this, while I say it's magical, is because once I reach my second inversion on the same string set, all I have to think is to move the bottom note up there, and it's in the same position. So I'll do the same here and go, well, that G just climbs up. So it's like I can keep visualizing up an octave, right? Instead of, I go, this is immediately visual. So we can tackle the same way any key of a major triad, and we could also do it for a minor triad. So let me just demonstrate quickly with a C minor. So C minor is G, E flat, and G, right? C, E flat, and G. So the lowest available inversion is G, C, and E flat. Then go here, right? And then maintaining that position, I then go here, and then 1 and 2 and done, maintaining the position, and done, maintaining the position. Again, there's multiple ways to do these fingerings, but if you get it, you can blaze on the fretboard quickly like this without really wondering where's the next thing. The next thing is either up the strings towards the higher here, or it's up towards the ceiling. It's either or, it's never both, which is fantastic. Now, just to finalize on, say, major triads, I'm going to demonstrate with F. So the F major triad has F, A, and C, right? So I'm going to start with the lowest available one, bottom of the fretboard, so it's going to be A, C, and F. So this is what we call a first inversion. So the A note is at the bottom. Instead of the F, we have the A, right? So I'm going to go 1 and 2, and I'm done. Next string set. And next string set, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. And I'm all the way up there, so 1 and 2, change string set, 1 and 2, and change string set, and 1 and 2, and next string set, and 1 and 2. Of course, this is far from perfect, far from being entirely fluid, but it's a great starting place for us jazz guitarists wanting to integrate triads into our playing. Now, tiny bit of a warning. People say, well, Mark, I'm playing jazz. You know, we play these 9 chords and we play these 13s at these sharp 9s. And why would we need to practice triads? It's because triads are basically the building blocks of all other harmonies. For instance, if I position myself learning all these C major triads, right? I go on the fretboard and I memorize them and I know where they are. If I decide that the actual root note of the chord during the song I'm playing is an A, if I'm playing an A and on top of it I'm playing C, E, G, so C, E, G with an A note, doing 2 hands, what we hear as a consequence is actually an A minor 7. So we hear this. This is what we hear, but the top 3 notes are a C major triad. So people say, well, this is triads over bass note. Kind of, but remember, whenever you have a chord that has a 7th, a 9th, 11th, or 13th, there's bound to be a triad baked in, or more than one triad baked in, because we keep stacking thirds. So this could be a really helpful way to look at triads. I'll give you another quick example. If I'm playing a C major, and I want to add a 7th, I'll go, well, C, E, G, B. You guys know this, right? But what's E, G, and B? It's none other than an E minor triad. But now I'm doing an E minor triad with a C bass. So it's like, oh, I'm playing the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th of the C chord. But in my mind, I rehearsed these triads. So I know where they are on my fretboard, right? Because I employed this approach. I'm like, oh, I can pick and choose just a portion of a more loaded chord, if you will. So it would be a C major 7. What if we did a C major 9, just for fun? Let's check on the C, E, G, B, D, right? So we have this 9th. What's G, B, D? Well, it's just a G major triad. What if we play this during a C root? Then I can shred on my G major triad, knowing that it is only but a component of a heavier, more loaded chord. All right, I hope you've been enjoying this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, because there's plenty more coming and lots more free lessons, standards, and stuff. Please join our free school community as well to get your video reviewed. You can send videos in for feedback, guys. It's free. It doesn't get any better than it's free. Just go ahead and do it. And most people posting their videos have reported really increased level of accountability, of confidence in their playing. So just use the 7-stage process. It's all free training, free community. Hang out with me and thousands of students. Fantastic. And remember, if you're listening to this in a podcast, you may refer this podcast or rate the podcast 5-star. It would be really helpful. It would mean a lot to me. So final tips for more advanced players. What I like to do is also work on spread triads. So a spread triad means that instead of having these notes stacked up in immediate thirds or immediate next note available, so C, E, G, one thing I could do is decide to spread these notes apart within a different set of octaves. So on a C, E, G, for instance, I could take the E here and put it up an octave. So I would wind up with C, G, and E, and it sounds something like this. How about that? So the next inversion process with the Randy Vincent would be the same. If I'm on C, G, E here, I'll just look at the next inversion on the same string set before moving on and going, oh, I can go to the... in this case, it wouldn't work because I painted myself in a corner, so let me start lower. That's the magic of the internet. It's always live, right? So I'm going to start with the lowest available note. We started like this with the video at the beginning, right? So I'm going to go C, G, G, E, C. So there's a string gap. There's always going to be this gap. Between this note and this note, there's more than an octave. So that's one way we can spread triads. There's many, many ways to spread the triads, but this is the most convenient guitar-friendly one. So if I do this, and I move on the same string set to the next available one, it sounds like this, or like different fingering. Then you always have to choose which finger and which string is going to receive the next note. Essentially, when I'm moving up the same string set, I just transfer each of the note to the next available note in the triad. So G becomes C, E becomes G, and C becomes E. I just move everything. Beautiful. And now for the same reason that we've done that earlier, I'm gonna climb up to the next string set. So 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and then move again. Before I get mixed up in my own lies, 1 and 2, all right, and back down, top and 2. Right? This is a bit more demanding, so that's why I said it's for advanced players. So imagine if I pick this up in C, in F, maybe in G, maybe in B flat, and I did the major and the minor triads, I would have access to a lot of triads really easily on my fretboard and always know where the next one is. And then, of course, feel free to do the augmented triads, which is a bit more demanding again. So augmented would be C, E, G sharp, oof, really heavy. And diminished triads, which would be C, E flat, and G flat. So same process. We can run it with the Randy Vincent book. By the way, just kudos and tipping my hat to Randy. He wrote a few great books that drop to voicings, and the one this was picked up on, I think it's a single page in his book. It's called 3-Note Voicings. It can be a really helpful resource. Again, without getting overwhelmed, getting to the weeds of things with jazz guitar, it gets really heavy towards the end of the book, but it can be a helpful resource if you've ever wanted to play 3-note voicings, if you ever wanted to learn triads well, to do walking-based stuff, etc. Great resource. So I will see you soon on this channel and on the rest of jazzguitarlessons.net. Improve your jazz guitar playing with a real teacher, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.